4, John Hall to boot it. Marcus Knight to run it back. Second half underway. Short kick. 12-yard line. Knight brings it back up to the 25-yard line. That's where the Gannon-led Raiders will take over. And let's check in with Melissa.
Well, Al, Bill Callahan told us yesterday that his #1 concern coming into this game was the Jets' special teams. And he said, you saw it. It's exactly what I expected. As far as the 7 penalties for 63 yards, he jokingly said, yeah, we were trying to set a record for penalties in a half. And I asked him about the Jets' defense, and he said, they're playing all right. Nothing special. We're hurting ourselves. We're stubbing our own toe.
Pretty well put, in as much as they outgained the Jets 201 to 119 in the half, but those 7 penalties for 63 yards really hurt. Gannon flings it to the outside. Tight end Williams with a little Edwin Moses move right there. First down up to the 41-yard line, a gain of 17 yards. And the numbers through the first half, in a half that was dominated until the last 5 or 6 minutes by the Raiders.
So you can see they had the 165-yard passing, 201 yards total, but you never had felt that their passing game stretched the field. You know, that they never got outside or never got deep. They played right into the Jets' defense hands.
Gannon at 67%. That's almost par for the course for him this season. To the outside. Hits Garner here. Garner is out of bounds at the 46. That's a gain of 5. Run out by Mo Lewis.
Yeah, this is where I think that the Raiders kind of hurt themselves or played into the Jets defense. So you look at the pass chart, is here beyond 15 yards. They didn't throw any passes here nor any passes here. And I think that's big because they didn't stretch the field.
Second and 5 now from the 46-yard line. Garner on a draw. First down to the Jet 45-yard line. Aaron Beasley finally stops him.
And one of the things the Raiders have to do is eliminate those penalties, and that's a tough thing. I mean, Bill Callahan says that they're coming close to breaking the record, but you know, you really can't. I mean, a lot of them are aggressive. You can't say don't have any penalties. You can say, you know, play smart, and that's what you're trying to get them to do. And what they try and do is when you get an aggressive pass rusher like a John Abraham, that's always the side you run the draw to.
First and 10 against the 4-man front. Good protection. Breaking tackles the rookie tight end Jolly down the middle of the 25-yard line. Finally hauled down by Sam Garnes, the rookie out of BYU. 20-yard pickup for the #2 draft choice or second rounder Jolly.
Yeah, he's from Brigham Young. He went to Brigham Young as a quarterback. They made him a tight end, and he really understands the passing game. And it looks like here that he understands the running game, and he understands how to be tough.
To the 26. Opening drive of the second half. Play clock all the way down. Don't get it off. Raiders have burned a lot of timeouts in the first and third quarters this season. Gannon is saying, I got it off.
Delay a game, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Kukar says, nope, you didn't.
Yep, he was up there making audibles, and then he was watching the play clock, and as he's doing that, he's saying that he was watching it and that he did get that ball snapped before the play clock got down.
Real close.
That was very, very close. You know, and you'd have to think with Rich Gannon and Rich Gannon's experience and knowledge and being able to do things, I would think that he got it off.
Very close. First and 15 from the 31-yard line. Pressure from the backside. And he's taken down. He's taken down by the fleet John Abraham.
Yeah, and that's a guy that they worry about because John Abraham, he was a linebacker in college, and you get a a guy like that who you can play down and has the speed, he can run someone down. Here we see him again on Barry Sims. Right now he gets by him, then he has the speed to do something about it. He can come all the way across the field and get Rich Gannon. He's a good player, and that's what the Raiders were talking about. That when they go up to the line of scrimmage, they always have to know where John Abraham is, because they always want the protection to go to him.
That was a 1-yard loss, so it is a sack for Abraham. Third Jet sack tonight. And over the middle, and that's Tim Brown, who makes the catch, and that's 1,000 catches for Tim Brown. And they will stop the game to acknowledge a tremendous milestone. Cherise, his wife, Timon, his daughter, his mother, Josephine, get a ride out to the middle of the field. And of course, Fred Biletnikoff, his position coach and one of the all-time greats and a Hall of Famer, out there as well.
That's his dad here.
Please direct you to the video board.
There's his mother, Josephine, and tell you, Tim looks just like his mother. You see Josephine down there, and you know that that's Tim Brown's mother.
And his wife is pregnant with twins to come. For a man who won the Heisman Trophy in 1987 at Notre Dame, selected by the Raiders when they were playing in Los Angeles in '88. His first coach was Mike Shanahan. Mike coached Tim Brown for the first season and the third. Steve Berline was his opening day quarterback as a rookie. Then in the mid-90s, it looked as if he might leave. Denver had signed him, but the Raiders matched the offer sheet, and he's been a lifelong Raider.
You know, and what a night this has to be for him. This is a memory right now, and Tim Brown is making that memory, but it's something that will be with him the rest of his life, and he's going to enjoy this more as the years go on. Here's the signature Tim Brown. You see those two hands up there, the taped hands. He doesn't wear gloves. This pattern where he just comes in over the middle and finds an area to Rich Gannon, and Rich Gannon finds him. Him coming over the middle right there. There's number 1,000.
For the 36-year-old Tim Brown, it takes it to the 26-yard line and sets up a 3rd and 10. A hug from Fred Biletnikoff. 5 years following that man's retirement, he'll make an induction speech in Canton.
Isn't it something that on this field right now, there's been 3 guys in the history of the National Football League that have caught 1,000 passes, and 2 of them are there right now.
On 3rd down and 10, will Gannon go to one of those guys? Yes, he will, to Jerry Rice for a touchdown.
There's Jerry Rice, and you see him starting in the end. He's going to run an in right there. And again, we talk about putting the ball on a guy. Rich Gannon put that ball on Jerry Rice perfectly. And look at Tim Brown's reaction. I got my 1,000. Jerry Rice got his touchdown.
So Tim Brown gets his 1,000th catch. Jerry Rice is over 1,000 yards again. And Brown's 1,000th catch sets up Rice's 1,440th lifetime catch and gives the Raiders the lead. Oakland 13, the Jets 10. This catch sets it up. Rice makes it pay off on that drive. 76 yards and 7 plays for the Raiders. They're up by 3 as Janikowski sends it down to the goal line. Chad Morton behind Soul to the outside, and Morton down the sideline. Flag is thrown as Chad Morton takes it out to midfield. Alvis Whitted brings him down. Bernie Kukar will give us the call. And it's against the Jets because you can see their special teams coach Mike Westhoff saying, what the hell was that call? So Morton, a good run back, but the Jets have a problem with their punt returner. And for more on that, as Ferguson is the guy who gets the penalty, here's Melissa.
Well, Alan, injury update on Santana Moss, who, as you just mentioned, is so big for the Jets and their special teams. He sprained his left ankle on the punt return at the end of the second quarter. He's out for the rest of the game, so that means Chad Morton will return punts.
And Moss, as we said before, leading the league in punt returns, had an average twice the league average. And this after the penalty, instead of having the ball at the 50-yard line, the ball is now at the 15-yard line.
You know, and the other thing about losing to Santana Moss, he's also the third wide receiver, and when the Jets get good field position, that is a big part of their offense.
That means Corbett will see more action than he's been seeing lately. First and 10, catch made. Lavernius Coles. Torrey James forces him out of bounds after a gain of 13.
Really impressed with Chad Pennington, how he hangs in there and leads his guys. I mean, you talk about, you know, someone that is consistent and someone that is accurate. That's what accuracy is being able to throw the ball where the guy is going.
Hands to the face against Oakland.
Maybe Bill Callahan is right. The Raiders may break some record on penalties tonight.
Illegal use of hands. Number 24 of the defense, hands to the face. That penalty is declined. First down.
Right, that's not one of those add-on penalties like a personal foul. That's, do you want it or do you want the play? And they want the play.
And that was Charles Woodson. That's a second penalty on Charles Woodson. But again, getting back to Chad Pennington, is he has that thing down where these guys run these ins or their crosses, and he doesn't throw it behind him. He doesn't throw where they are. He throws it where they're going.
First and 10 up at the 28-yard line. Over the middle. That's caught by Corbett. Sneaks away up to the 40. That's a first down. Tackled by Dorsett, who's playing a lot tonight in place of the injured Gibson. And Martin. Pennington, 11 out of 15. Martin has really not been a factor tonight. Corbett's been their leading receiver with 3 in the first half and 1 so far here in the second.
Well, they tried to do a little running, and there hasn't been anything there, and they've kind of gotten away from it.
You're looking at Martin, who's gained over 100 yards in each of the Jets' last 2 games. Fake it to him. A lot of time for Pennington, but then he goes down. Roderick Coleman, the first guy to come in, and then John Perella finishes him off. 57 and 97 saying good job.
And that's exactly what you want to do. You know, when you get that pressure coming from the outside, the quarterback is going to do one thing. He's going to stand up. And now when he goes and he steps up, then you want the pressure in the middle. So you get the pressure from the outside, and that's going to make him step up. And now as he steps up, boom, you got 2 pressures right there. It's when those guys get pinned on the line and he can step up and throw is when you're in trouble.
8-yard sack, second down on 18. Down to the ground. That doesn't fool anybody. Cooper is there, 75, and Trace Armstrong, the 36-year-old Armstrong, one of a half dozen Raiders who are 36 or older.
Trace Armstrong is something. I mean, he really takes care of himself. And I remember when he first came in the league with the Chicago Bears, and you know, he's kind of an undersized guy, and he built himself up and went to the Miami Dolphins, and then came to the Oakland Raiders. And he's one of those guys that is always working on his body, always working on making himself a better football player.
14th year out of Florida. Third down and 19 from the 32. couple of very curious calls on 2nd and long and 3rd and long on a night when they've eschewed the running game. They give it to Martin twice, and it's 4th and 21.
I think they've kind of gone into their shell. You know, that whole Tim Brown thing kind of got the emotion not only of this team but of this crowd and got everyone in the game. And it may have taken some emotion or something out of the Jets, because it kind of looks or feels like after that Tim Brown catch, the Jets have taken a step backwards.
Both offensively and defensively. Pulled in 33 by Charles Woodson. And he brings it to the 36, and the Raiders offense comes back out. Tim Brown beginning his quest for another 1,000. 7:51 left in the 3rd. 13-10 Raiders. 1,441 catches. Chris Carter closing in on 1,100, and TB with 1,000. And it took Rice 181 games, Carter 210, and Brown 220 to get to 4 figures. From the 36-yard line, it's Garner, and he gets hog-tied by Damian Robinson.
You know, in the pass that Tim Brown caught that 1,000th pass on was one that he does a lot of. He really, I mean, he catches footballs all over, but he really works the middle well. Now what you do is you come to the inside, and he runs an option route. If the defender is inside, then you go outside. If the defender's outside like this, then you go inside. Again, you just turn and find the hole, and he does that. He's mastered that and does that better than maybe anyone's ever done.
2nd down and 8. And there is Brown, 1,001. You know, one of the amazing things too, John, about Brown is a guy who spends so much time over the middle and takes so many hits, is now making his 159th consecutive start. So if you do the math, here's a guy who hasn't missed a start in 10 years.
Yeah, and he thought that, you know, early in his career he had an injury and he missed time, and he thought that maybe that helped him, you know, to be able to sit back to look and see how quickly things can be taken away from you. Maybe you work a little harder, maybe you enjoy it a little more, and you're fresher as you get older.
3rd down and 1. Gannon will run for the 1st down. Gannon and Brown now in their 4th year together. Here's what Rich had to say about number 81.
Tim Brown is a consummate professional, is a class act. It's a guy who takes a great deal of pride in his preparation and performance each week, and you know, he's amazing. Just continues to make plays and continues to work very hard at his task, and he's been a great influence not only on myself but on a lot of players in our locker room.
Gannon 36, Brown 36, Rice 40. Ponce de Leon 11. Gannon open, Brown, and did he have control of the football? And he did not. Incomplete. Banged out of his possession by Beasley.
And he really was banged out of his possession. Those are the things. You know, you work that middle and you don't get it. And then you come here in the slot and you just see him working that short corner. Jerry Rice runs off, and there is a hole right there. And Beasley is right there to take that ball out of it. You can either get there before, and if you don't get there before, you want to get there right after the ball gets there. Perfect timing by Aaron Beasley.
On 2nd and 10, quick flip, Brown. And Brown inside the 45 to the 43-yard line.
You know, they throw the ball to their wide receivers in so many ways. You know, you talk about, you know, passing, and you know, and that short passing game is like a running game. In fact, I think that one could have been a lateral. And I thought, what would happen is if his 1,000th pass was a lateral.
That was pretty close right there.
Yeah, I think that was probably one.
Raiders offense on 3rd and 1. They have been perfect this year. The Jets defense on 3rd and 1 has given up a 1st down 70% of the time as Gannon is under pressure, and Gannon goes down again in the arms of James Darling. So the last time we saw Gannon against Denver, the protection was so phenomenal he barely got touched. This time 4 sacks.
There's where he's trying to throw. He's going to look out to the right here, and he wants to throw it right now to Jerry Rice. And you see that they got in the lane, but took that one away, and then he couldn't come back. I'm surprised at some place that they get 3rd and short, that you don't have a little more confidence in your running game.
You'd think, especially this running game. Garner, and that is extracted from Morton, who didn't call for the fair catch. The Raiders gather around. Marcus Knight is the guy who hit him.
We're talking about the Jets losing Santana Moss as a punt returner, as a 3rd wide receiver. Chad Morton, a kickoff returner, goes back to do the punt returning. And look what happened.
Every Raider says we have it, and the line judge concurs. It's the first turnover of the game. It's the Jets' first fumble in 5 games.
I'll tell you, Chad Morton never looked comfortable on that. I mean, he looked, watch how far his hands are apart. He never looked like he got everything together. Watch Marcus Knight here. I mean, he's going to get there. There's no fair catch. Again, you have to give him the right to make the catch. Marcus Knight timed that one perfectly.
Adam True, who is the snapper, recovered it. Now Wheatley to the 10-yard line, gain of 2.
And that's probably what the Raiders are thinking. They had a 3rd and short, and they didn't run the ball. And someone says, "Doggone it, let's get some running in this deal." And so they come back, they get a turnover here, and instead of going for it, they run the ball. Look at this, man. There's a lot of scrumming going on down there. Huh? Well, Adam True, he just picks it up and keeps bringing it up. You know, usually on those piles like that, the ball will change places about 3 or 4 times.
2nd down and 8. Big defensive stand here for the Jets to try to limit the 3. Caught, 6-yard line. Brown, he takes it to the 3-yard line. It's going to set up a 3rd and 1.
And those are the plays that we were talking about that Tim Brown works so well, that middle. The option, again, if you sit and the guy is inside, you go outside. If he's outside, you go inside. See, he starts in motion, comes down here, just finds a hole right there, comes under control. So he can go all the way across or just stop in any hole he finds in that zone.
So the Raiders have been perfect this season on 3rd and 1 until the last 3rd and 1. Now here they are again with Ritchie and Crockett in the backfield.
I think they run this game.
Crockett 32 behind Ritchie. Bangs his way to the 1, and that's going to move the chains and give them a 1st and goal.
What they do is they put an extra tackle in. Matt Stinchcomb comes in and plays the left tight end. And then they have real power. I mean, John Ritchie is a lead blocker, and that's the one you have to get. Watch John Ritchie here. And this is what creates a hole. Whap, right there. That's what got him the 1st down, was John Ritchie's block.
Again, Crockett the tailback. Ritchie is the fullback. Run it again with Crockett into the end zone. So the first turnover of the game is a killer for the Jets.
Again, John Ritchie makes a heck of a lead, and you just go right in behind him. Here's John Ritchie. Here he comes right there. Boom, there's a block right there. He just gets right down below him. Crockett is a very powerful runner anyway, and the closer he gets to the goal line, the lower he gets. Zach Crockett can be a fullback, but when you get close to the goal line or in short yardage, he's a tailback.
Janikowski with Lecter holding. So Santana Moss gets hurt. Chad Morton has to return punts as well as kickoffs. Gives it to the Raiders, and they cash in for 7 to make it 20-10 Oakland. The National Hockey League. Chad Morton from the 2. Up to the 24-yard line, and a flag is down. John, I've got to get you to a hockey game before this year is done. I know you've only been to one in your life, right?
Yeah, and I couldn't figure it out. I mean, everything was happening so quickly, and guys were jumping in and going out, and you couldn't see substitutions on, and I just couldn't figure it out.
41 of the kicking team, hands to the face. 5 more yards at the end of the run. First down.
During the break, I'm going to explain icing to you. Stand by.
Thank you.
2:26 left in the third. 20-10 Oakland. Of course, from the mid-60s through the early 80s when they moved to LA and then came back here for the 95 season. Oakland up by 20-10. 2:26 remaining in the third, and the Jets take over at their own 30-yard line with Pennington in the pocket, slinging it over the middle, caught by Coles at the 50-yard line. Some major comebacks this week, and as you can see this week in the NFL, teams overcoming 10-point deficits, 10 or more, 6 of them yesterday, tying the record for the most in any given week. So do you see a 7th tonight?
You know what I see the Jets not being able to overcome that stoppage. I mean, it was after Tim Brown caught that 1000th pass, the Raiders have had all the momentum.
They certainly have, but the Jets trying to get it back. Ball at the 45, gain of 6 from Martin.
Yeah, I think it all started here. It was kind of like the Raiders offense was kind of sleepwalking. And then you see right here, Tim Brown catches that pass. That gives him 1,000. And then look what happened from that point on. Jerry Rice touchdown. Kickoff return, fumble, Raiders recover. Zach Crockett touchdown. I mean, you talk about a momentum changer. I think that stoppage was really a momentum changer.
Very big, and it came before a 3rd down and 10 as well. And this is Martin taking it inside the 40 to the 39-yard line, and that's a first down as the Jets try to regain that momentum with a minute to play in the 3rd quarter.
I mean, the Jets had some tough things happen to them. I mean, that was one of them, playing here on the road, losing Santana Moss, and then having to fight an uphill battle now. But as Herm Edwards says, there's no quitting this group. There's no quitting him.
He had that that press conference that got a lot of play when somebody talked about how do you keep the guys from quitting, and he went off on that, and that seemed to help turn it around. At least it was at the moment at which they went to San Diego, won a big game there, and haven't lost since. Pennington swings it out, caught in the flat. Martin, but good coverage there. Rod Woodson tackles him on what figures to be the final play of the 3rd quarter. So we will go to the 4th in Oakland. At the end of 3, it is Oakland 20 and the New York Jets 10. And ABC's Monday Night Football will resume after this from our ABC stations. For most of his career, now the 2nd-year Jet coach. His team down by 10. Fake the end around, swing it over the middle, taken there by Lamont Jordan. And Jordan gets up after going down and has a first down at the 28-yard line. Monday Night Football being brought to you by Microsoft at the Bay Bridge. As Herm Edwards watches his offense now on first down from the 27-yard line, and Pennington has to take a timeout. Their first. 50 seconds into the 4th quarter. Pennington trying to move them downfield with Oakland up 20-10. There's Leah. We saw Leah in that piece in the hat. We saw it at halftime. Sitting there amongst the Raider faithful.
Kind of calm for the team being down by 10.
Yeah. With 14-10 to go in the 4th after the Jets took a timeout. First down at the 27-yard line. Martin, Woodson stays right with him. Martin takes the ball to the 24-yard line.
The Raider defense is really playing well against the run tonight, because to me, any time the Raiders get in trouble over the last few years, it's when they can't stop the run. And tonight they started stopping the run early. The first time the Jets tried to run, and they've continued it the whole game. They all have gaps. They all have their fits, as they say, and there's no place to run. There's no hole, and Charles Woodson is right up there for the bounce out.
Jets have averaged a paltry 2.3 yards per rush. Martin's looking to throw, but the secondary didn't bite. Looked like he had Corbett in the end zone, but he was covered, and Coles was there as well, and he has to run it out of bounds.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. It was a run pass, and Corbett was in the end zone. You see him here. He takes the ball. Now, Corbett is deep, but if he's not wide open, you always tell a running back, if he's not wide open, don't throw the ball. I don't know what the definition of wide open or his definition of wide open, but it looks like Charles Woodson was back there playing it pretty well.
3rd down and 10 from the 27-yard line. Blitz gets it away, but only to the 27, just about the line of scrimmage. Terrence Shaw forced the issue, and so now John Hall, to make it a 7-point game, comes out to attempt what will be approximately a 45-yard field goal.
That was a heck of a play by Chad Pennington, because we're going to see coming off the corner right there. You see Shaw coming off the corner, but being able to get rid of the ball, complete it, kept them in a field goal possible position.
45-yard attempt by Hall, who's had one block tonight. Made from 36, had one block from 34. Turk puts it down, and Hall's kick is good. Through the same uprights that he booted his 53-yarder through at the end of the regular season last year. Makes it a 7-point game. 20-13 Raiders. Raiders trying to make it 4 straight wins. The Jets seeking their 5th straight win. 7-point game after the Hall field goal. 20-13 Raiders. John Hall kicking off. Marcus Knight from the 4. Flag thrown at the end of the play. Out of bounds up near the 37-yard line. Bernie Kukar getting the call from the side judge. Holding. Return team pushing the Raiders back, and now Rich Gannon goes to work. Gannon has a chance for 4 single-season records. He's on a pace to break them all. Drew Bledsoe, 691 passes in a season. Rich would have to average 46. All he needs to average in the last 5 games, 18 completions a game. He sets that mark, held by Warren Moon. He's close to Ken Anderson's record, 70.6% in terms of completions. And the big one, Dan Marino, 5,084 yards in his Super Bowl season of '84. Gannon would need to average 310. Right now he is trying to throw for 300 yards for the 9th time this season, and he's only 21 yards away with 12 minutes to play in the game. From the 25 out of this passing set, there's a completion to Garner. Taken out of bounds by Damian Robinson, and let's go to the field and Melissa.
Well, Al, when you talk to Rich Gannon, the last thing he wants the conversation to center around are his own numbers. And he told me that's because he learned a very big lesson early in his career. He had a bad habit of looking up at the scoreboard during games. And he said if his numbers were good at the end of the first half, he'd say, oh, okay, great, I'm having a good day. Then he'd come out in the second half and play terribly. And he remembers in Kansas City, Marty Schottenheimer saying, don't look at the scoreboard. It's too distracting. You have to stay focused on what you're doing. And that's why he's not consumed with his numbers, as good as they may be.
Last 2 years playing the best football of his career. 2nd and 4. Brown out of bounds. That's a first down.
That's kind of like don't count your chips till the playing's done, huh?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the way I think you play every game. I don't think that you look at the score and think this is what I have now, or this is. I mean, even thinking golf. Geez, if I just get this or that, I'll have that score. You just go out and you play to win, and then whatever the numbers are, those are the numbers you played with.
But it's easier to do that when you're 36 than when you're 26.
Well, you have to learn that.
First and 10 at the 43-yard line. Garner over the 50 to the 48-yard line. John, I've been thinking all week. You had the turducken on Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah.
Now, let's say you get to Christmas. Could you vary it? Could you have, for instance, like a turhampkin? Could you throw some ham in instead of the duck?
Well, you know, they do have a thing. I don't want to get too much in this, but they do have a thing. After you stuff the chicken and the duck and the turkey, then you stuff it into a pig. And that's another ingredient. I haven't taken anyone that far yet, but that's the next step we do.
2nd and 1. Tyrone Wheatley picks up the first. John, before you went to turducken, of course, you didn't have time to think about things like that because you were busy patrolling the sidelines. I just want to know one thing. You coached 2 Monday night games, December 6th of �76, and then a year later, there you are. Now, you washed the shirt and the pants in between, didn't you?
No, who said that?
Well, I don't know.
No, that's just an assumption by you.
I'm asking.
No, didn't worry about things like that, man. We're just trying to get a win.
Now, you didn't have a clothing deal in those years, did you?
No. That's why our producer, Fred Cadelli, asked me if we had a clothing deal. Are you kidding me? Clothing deal? You want to put a saddle on this horse.
Monday night. First down at the 47-yard line. Wheatley is the back in this set. Just put the pressure on. Again, gets it away over the middle to John Ritchie, the fullback out of Stanford, for a first down to the 33.
And he knows exactly what to do with it. When you're a fullback and you get the ball over the middle, just turn and run straight upfield. Don't run sideways. There's no moves in you. This is what you have. You take the ball and you turn and you run straight, and the first thing that you can ram, you ram. That's John Ritchie.
John Ritchie's 10th catch of the year puts Gannon over 300 yards. And Ritchie, that's a scene you see. It's almost as if he paints it on. I mean, it's real, but he's bloodied in every game from the 33-yard line. Garner. And he is forced out of bounds, but not until he picks up the first and then wants a flag for a face mask. Doesn't get it. Gannon, meanwhile, 311 yards. Rich Gannon has now thrown the 300 or more yards 9 times this season, with still 4 games to play, and that ties an NFL record.
You know what happens on those lumps as we watch John Ritchie there? You get those 2 lumps right in your head where the helmet slides up and down. Like there. You see he has the lumps right there, and then they don't go away all season. I mean, they're right there, and they just stay there all year.
There's 2 holes there. There's Doug Jolly making the catch. So Gannon, 300 yards, and there are the other 3, Marino, Moon, and Warner, and Rich figures to break that, have it by himself, and he does it against the Jets, and that's unusual in the sense that the Jets have gone almost 2 years without allowing a 300-yard passing game.
Big thing, the Jets have played pretty well on defense, but they didn't create or force a turnover.
2nd and 7. Gannon low, intended for Ritchie. 3rd and 7. Now, if the Raiders don't gain another yard on this play, don't get a yard on this particular play, then Janikowski would come in for about a 35, 36-yard field goal attempt to try to make it at least a 2-possession lead for Oakland.
And that's the thing, you know, we talked about the Jets and their field position through special teams. The other thing, when they were winning those 4 straight games, they were getting turnovers.
3rd and 7. Gannon has that one knocked away. So now to try to make the lead 10 again, they'll bring Janikowski out. And he'll be kicking from the 25 or 26-yard line.
One of the things that the Jets talked about was getting hands up right there in the B gap. And the B gap is that gap between the guard and the tackle, because they broke it down. They said most of Rich Gannon's passing lanes are between the offensive guard and the offensive tackle. So they always want a hand up or a body in the B gap.
Sean Ellis knocked it away, and Janikowski bangs this one through from 36. So with 7:44 left in regulation, Oakland extends its lead to 10 again. 23-13, the Raiders on top. Janikowski to kick it off. Morton from the 2-yard line. Back out to the 28-yard line. You dreamed about this, didn't you?
Well, yeah, that was before fast track. I wanted to catch that jump right there. That's exactly right. When I was a kid, it was a big thing going over the Bay Bridge. I always thought the coolest job and the best job would be the guy that got to take the money on the bridge. They're like things you want to be when you grow up.
What kind of music would you play? I mean, you'd need a radio in there.
No,
right?
I just wanted to be out there in the bridge and be the guy that got all the money.
Pennington going deep into traffic, and that's incomplete. Good double coverage on Kevin Swain over the middle. He got bracketed, and Charles Woodson is hurt. Woodson, who missed a lot of time earlier this year with a shoulder injury, and this is a different thing right now, reaching for his calf lower leg.
And Charles Woodson was the guy that was running and causing the bracket that you were talking about. One of the things that Chad Pennington throws that ball in there, and Charles Woodson makes a heck of a play. I mean, did you see, instead of getting a hand on him, he just dipped his left shoulder in there and got inside. So then when he went down, he hurt his leg, but that was a heck of a play. I mean, that's a way to play a post pattern without interfering.
So Terrence Shaw comes in to replace him, and they're already minus their starting strong safety, Derek Gibson. That's why Dorsett has been playing tonight. Now Woodson goes out, and the question is, can the Jets exploit this? But the Jets are also minus Santana Moss, who's gone for the game. 2nd down and 10 from the 29-yard line. 7.5 to go. Pennington throws near side, coming over to try to make the catch, and at the 44 does. Lavernius Coles, great grab. 16 yards.
That's right in front of Brandon Jennings. You're talking about, do you exploit when they take the corner out? That's exactly what you do. They look in there. Jennings goes in there. It's his first play. He's a little cautious. He's off, and you just throw right in front of him.
1st and 10. Great catch to stay in bounds as he's going out. And then that catch is made again by Coles. Lavernius has it at the Raider 44. Jets going without a huddle with 7 minutes to go in regulation.
They found out something they like over here on this left side, this Brandon Jennings, and this is where they want to throw the ball right here.
Jennings lining up on Coles. Press coverage on him right now. And Pennington now looking over the middle, throwing into a lot of traffic, and is lucky that one wasn't picked. Burbett's surrounded by Raiders.
Yeah, I think he expected a cover 1 or a man coverage, and he got a cover 2, and he threw it right into the teeth of cover 2. They have 2 safeties sitting back there, and you see Burbett gets by right here. You have the linebacker, Eric Barton, is running with him, but they have the 2 safeties. So he tries to get it over Barton, but look who's there, Rod Woodson, number 26.
2nd down and 10 now at the 44. Is Coles. How did he get that open? Well, one reason is you're -2 starting defensive backs. So Lavernius Coles, big drive, 3 catches on this drive, 26 yards here, and 8 for the game, and 120 yards in reception.
And that was a heck of a throw by Chad Pennington. You see here, that's a zone, and sometimes when you get ahead, then your zones become too soft. And I think that's what the Raiders did, is they played zone. They didn't want anyone to beat them deep quickly, so they softened up the zone too much, and that's why there was a wide hole in it.
And now they get Charles Woodson back into the game on 1st and 10 from the 19-yard line. Good protection. Pennington over the middle, Lamont Jordan on a crossing pattern. Gets out of bounds at the 14-yard line. What was the deal with Woodson? Let's check in with Melissa.
Well, Al, you saw him being helped off the field just moments ago. He twisted his right ankle. The trainers taped it up. He was going to test it out to see if he could come back in, but apparently they needed him back in right away, and you know why. He's gone to the Pro Bowl each of his 4 seasons in the NFL.
He comes back in, but now Lamont Jordan, who made that reception, is the Jet who is injured. And so a stoppage in play here as he is out of bounds, but they'll stop play and work on Jordan with under 6 to play, and the Raiders by 10 at home. 8 Central and Mountain right here on ABC. We'll check on Jordan in a second, the extent of his injury as he goes back to the Jets bench. 2nd down and 4 after the injury timeout from the 13-yard line. Pennington softly over the middle, great touch, and a touchdown to Trebek. What touch on that pass.
So that they can get in there.
And Hall just does boot it through just inside the left upright. And so Chad Pennington marks
a year. Jerry Rice would have his. Terrell Owens has his. Randy Moss has his. Wayne Corbett has his.
Kickoff field at 6-yard line. Marcus Knight up to the 26. Let's check in again with Melissa.
Well, Al, you talk about Wayne Corbett's complaints about not getting the ball enough. I talked to Chad Pennington about it, and he said as soon as he heard those comments, he went up to Corbett and he said, listen, just try to be patient with me. I'm just trying to get more comfortable with you. And certainly the two of them have been working on it every day after practice. Just Pennington and Corbett stay for extra time to work on timing, to work on getting to know one another. And he said Corbett's been working harder than he's ever seen him work before.
That's a pretty good response from Pennington. Just, you know, be a little patient with me.
Yeah, and I think that's why, you know, Pennington is such a great quarterback. Not a great quarterback, good, but developing into being a great quarterback because he's very smart. I mean, he knows all situations.
Here's Gannon throwing, caught 36-yard line. Doug Jolly. And let's also acknowledge Vinny Testaverde. Not that we should be surprised having known Vinny through the years, but I mean, he's just exuded class in a situation where he loses his job, may never get a chance to start again, and has been nothing but extremely beneficial to Pennington.
Yeah, and that's one of the first things that Chad Pennington will tell you is that he's gotten, you know, all the backing and cooperation and everything from Vinny Testaverde, and he said he's just been as great can be.
1st and 10 now, 41-yard line. Jet D tries to get the ball back. On the ground, Garner, and he gets wrapped up after a gain of 2 yards by Jason Ferguson. 2nd down and 8.
You know, Chad Pennington has had to go the tough way because you lose Santana Moss, so you lose your punt returner, you lose your speed. Your running game hasn't been able to go. I mean, that's been a big part of it. You know, being Curtis Martin, being able to run. They don't have that tonight. They've been getting turnovers. Their defense hasn't gotten any turnovers. So this has been an uphill battle for the Jets and Chad Pennington.
2nd down and 7. Clock ticking down to 4:15. Gannon, the vet, taking the play clock as far down as he can. And swings it out. Garner gets away from the initial hit by Beasley and then gets taken down finally by Coward, and a big 3rd down play for the Jet defense coming up right here.
And this is a situation that the Jet defense, we saw the piece at halftime, we saw, you know, what Herm Edwards was talking about, what Ted Cottrell was talking about. This is a situation that they think the Raiders don't like. This is a situation that their defense has been trying all night to get them into.
Big play, otherwise you begin to start thinking about taking your timeouts defensively. And remember, they've already squandered 1. They have 2 plus the 2-minute warning. 3rd and 8 from the 43. Only a 3-man rush. Caught again by Rice to the 40-yard line of the Jets on a huge play. And Jerry is down. And a flag as well. Personal foul, face mask against the Jets. More yardage.
Yeah, the thing is, you can talk about 3rd and long and getting him in 3rd and long.
Pulling on the face mask. Number 51 defense. 15 yards from the end of the run. 1st down.
James Darling.
But you know, when you have great players like Jerry Rice and you have Rich Gannon throwing to him, great players are going to make big plays in a big game when the team needs them. And you can get them in 3rd and long, and Rich Gannon knows where to throw it. Jerry Rice knows where to go to catch it and where he has to go to get a 1st down.
And that's why he was shaken up, because Darling, I don't think he was grabbing and pulling. It looked like that was more of the incidental face mask, but regardless, it goes to the 24-yard line. 14,000-yard seasons for JR. And then the clock will start when the ball is signaled ready for play here.
And then the Jets are going to have to start using their timeouts now.
The clock is not rolling, though. For some reason, the game clock is not running, but the play clock is at the 24-yard line. It is Wheatley to the 20-yard line.
So the Jets will take a timeout now. Then they have one more timeout. And after you start, that's why you always want to have 3 timeouts, you know, so you can really stop. And then when you lose one, then you can't do these kinds of things. But once you take that first one that the Jets just take, then now you can't allow them a first down.
Well, they don't take their timeout here. They're going to get to stop the clock 3 times, twice of their own volition and once at the 2-minute warning. And they figure to stop it here if they can stop them shy of the first down. From the 19th, second down, and Wheatley to the outside, and Wheatley picks up the first down.
So now it's tough. I mean, now after they get the first down, and now you take one, that's tough. I thought they should have taken it before that down, but then again they had to stop them on that down, so it's academic.
Now they have to, and they have 1 left. 2:29 and a first down. A picture right now in the AFC. If the season stopped at the moment, the Colts and Chargers would get byes. The Steelers and Dolphins in the 3 and 4 spot. The Raiders with a victory tonight would be 8 and 4, but the Chargers have beaten them head to head, so they in effect would be leading in the division. The Titans, the Patriots, the Broncos all in the hunt. The Jets, a loss would really hurt at this point because of all of the teams that are above 500. Meantime, first things first, 1st and 10 here. Here's Wheatley. They'll stop him for a loss of 4. And with 1 timeout remaining, they take it here. So they take a timeout, have to stop him here. Then at the 2-minute warning, they'd have a 3rd down, and they're out of timeouts.
Yeah, but as you say, they have to do it now and then take the 2-minute as a timeout, and then hope that they can stop them on 3rd down and make them kick a field goal. Then you get another timeout, a change of possession.
At worst, and then of course go down the field and have to score a touchdown, assuming Janikowski kicks a field goal and do it without a timeout. But they're going to add a second to the scoreboard clock. The Chargers and the Raiders meet next week in San Diego. That's a huge game. There's Pennington already talking about what's going to happen when they get the ball back, if they get the ball back. But the Jets are going to be in a lot of trouble only because it's going to be very tough to vault through, get by all of those teams on your way to a wild card berth.
Well, and that's a great thing about this part of the season. I mean, I've always felt and said that you kind of get yourself in position to make a run at the playoffs now. So you got to make a run. I mean, at somewhere you have to make a run and win games to get into the playoffs.
The good news for the Jets is they'd only be a game back in their own division at least. Here's Garner. And he stopped at the 16, so the clock will tick down to the 2-minute warning. It will be 3rd down and 14.
The Jet defense is doing what they have to do. Josh Evans on that play, you know, getting penetration, get in their backfield. Don't let them get the ball. You know, don't let them get out to the side. Make the play get over quickly, even though you don't have a timeout, so that you can get to the 2-minute warning. Then you're going to have one more play.
2 minutes to go. 2 minutes away from a 4th straight Raider victory if they can hold on.
That the play would be that they would throw the ball in the end zone, but then if it's incomplete, then that stops the clock. If you run the ball, you're probably not going to get a first down anyway.
Milestones reached tonight by Brown, Rice, and Gannon. If you don't gain a yard, then Janikowski comes in for a 34-yard field goal attempt to make it a 6-point game, which of course makes the Jets have to get a touchdown.
Yeah, but if they could get a touchdown here, then it would all be over.
Right,
I mean,
if the Raiders get a touchdown. Yep.
I think with Gannon and this offense and these players, I think they go for the touchdown.
3rd and 14. Gannon checking off, realigns Garner. Pump fake, swings it to the outside, and then Brown, of course, has the presence of mind not to go out of bounds, even though he made the catch on the sideline. And now Janikowski will come in. They'll let the play clock tick down, and he'll try to make it a 6-point Raider lead from about the 20-yard line, which makes it a 30-yard attempt.
I think Rich Gannon did try and take a shot. He had Jerry Rice down here on the left side, and I think he was looking there. If there's not there, then he was going to come off short, and then just go for the field goal.
Officially, this will be 29 yards out of a Leckler hold. Play clock all the way down. Snap to the one. It's a low snap, and Leckler got it down nicely. And then Janikowski will make the Jets go all the way down the field without a timeout, and 72 seconds remaining in the game. (26-20). They put the Raiders, in effect, gave them the opportunity to go up by 10. He's a great kickoff return man, and a chance for atonement here if Janikowski kicks it to him.
Well, Janikowski has to kick it to him. I don't know, I mean, what he'd like to do is kick a touchback, but what he's been doing is kind of directional kicking when he's been successful. And he's kicked the ball between the numbers and the sideline. That's what they'd like to do, and pin Chad Martin there. Just kick the ball. Here's the numbers. Here's the sideline. Kick the ball into here and pin him into the side. But don't kick the ball deep in the middle.
And he kicks a ground ball that gets lateral back to Morton at the 25-yard line. And Morton cannot break free to the outside, and the flag comes in at the end of the play.
No, and that's not a bad way to do it. I mean, the last thing that Janikowski wanted to do was kick that ball to Chad Morton.
There is no penalty. There is no penalty.
All right, that took 6 seconds off the clock. The ball will be spotted at the 26-yard line, so they have to go 74 yards in 66 seconds. No timeouts.
And you can do that if you can get first downs. I've always thought that that's the biggest thing, because if you can get first downs, then the quarterback can spike the ball.
Woodson shaken up on the last series, back in. And Pennington facing a huge test, throws to the outside, and it's incomplete, and it's Terrence Shaw defending.
Aaron Shaw came very, very close to not only defending, but taking that thing the other way. I don't know, again, that you have to throw to the sidelines. I mean, that was, always the thinking that when you have no timeout, you have to throw the ball to the sidelines and get out of bounds. But again, if you can get first downs, then you can give away a down by spiking it. Because all defenses in this situation will defend the sidelines.
2nd and 10 from the 26. Throws intended for Coles, and that is incomplete, covered by Torrey James.
All defenses in this situation will defend the sidelines. That's why you like to hit things in the middle, get up there again and spike, and you can just see that there's no way that the Raiders are going to let them throw that ball to the outside.
Jets tonight have not converted a single third down play, and here it's 3rd down and 10 with 56 seconds. Pennington guns it, caught, 38, Coles, and that's a first down. Good time, obviously, for their first conversion. Now they'll have to come up to the line of scrimmage. Clock still ticking down. Pennington a lot of time, actually, under those circumstances to get the spike. 36.
Yeah, he did, and then I think he took time trying to get those 2 outs out there. That had he done that earlier and then come up and spike, you'd probably have another play or two.
Right. Now Pennington went over to the bench as if he thought he had all the time in the world. He took his helmet off. He went over to the bench, and Herm says, get back into the huddle.
Yeah, this is not a timeout. This isn't a timeout. You just spiked the ball, and this is still running here.
Pennington took the helmet off. It's like, hey, you know, I've got the whole enchilada, the whole 2 minutes. 2nd and 10. Chad lofting it. Beautiful throw. Caught Coles. 35. Now they've got to get up and spike it as fast as they can from the 35-yard line. 27-yard pickup. And now the spike coming with 19 seconds.
See, and now they can still do that again. I think they can still, you know, hit another one in the middle and get up and spike it, and then from that point on, they'd have to go for the end zone. But being here in the 35, they can take shots at the end zone here too.
Coles tonight, 10 catches for 158 yards.
Defensive coordinators will usually tuck their pants up pretty high when this is happening to them.
Pennington rolling out, pressured, sacked at the 45-yard line by Roderick Coleman. And the clock keeps running, and they've got to spike the ball here to get another playoff.
In that situation, that's the one thing you can't afford. You always tell your quarterback, when you have no timeouts, you cannot afford to take a sack. You have to get rid of the ball. You have to get out. You have to throw it away. You see Coleman, he just comes in, and again, the Raiders have great speed. You know, with their defensive lineman there, Reagan Upshaw, playing his first game back.
Yeah, he came blasting through. So the final play of the game, barring a defensive penalty. And Pennington is going to launch one toward the end zone, and it's picked off at the 9-yard line by Rod Woodson. Well, that's fitting. The future Hall of Famer picks one off on a night when a couple of Hall of Famers to be have huge nights. Brown and Rice, and the Raiders do it again. A tale of 3 seasons for the Oakland Raiders. Win 4, lose 4, win 4 again to go 8